So next week will be another high noon moment for Brexit and for what the government and the Prime Minister and Parliament decide to do. The Prime Minister is searching for a solution to the Northern Ireland problem. She's finding it hard. The reason for that is very simple. There isn't a solution to the Northern Ireland problem. Essentially, how did we get here? The government gave three inconsistent commitments. First of all, it said it wanted the UK out of the single market and the customs union. The consequence of that is there will be friction at the border between the UK and the European Union. There is no way out of that. It's a natural legal consequence of getting out of the single market and customs union. But secondly, they said they wanted the border between the north and south in Ireland to be without friction. The only solution to that is that Northern Ireland, at least, remains in the customs union and the single market for goods and agricultural products. But at the same time, the government gave a commitment that Northern Ireland should not be in a different position in relation to Europe than the rest of the UK, in which case we have a dilemma that simply can't be solved. So we're going to go into next week, hard to tell exactly what's going to happen, but the essential problem of Brexit remains the same. There is no solution to the painful versus pointless dilemma. In other words, you stay in the European trading system, abide by its rules, but then it's pointless. What's the purpose of leaving? Or alternative, you get out of it, rip up trading arrangements that are grown up over 4.5 decades, and that's going to be painful for the British economy and the European economy. Now, the Northern Ireland question has to be determined now before we leave because it's part of the withdrawal agreement. The future relationship, however, is part of the political declaration and is as yet unresolved. But just realize one thing, all the dilemmas over the Northern Ireland situation are exactly the same dilemmas we will face with the future relationship if we don't decide that future relationship now. We'll face exactly the same problem. It'll just be the Irish issue writ large for the whole of the UK. So when members of Parliament come to the votes next week, in my view, they should do a very simple set of things. They should vote down her deal because it's a bad deal. We pay all this money up front. We have no idea what the future relationship is. We haven't resolved the painful versus pointless dilemma, and therefore we're stepping into the unknown, not knowing at the time we leave exactly where we're going. By the way, in complete contradiction, not only of what the Prime Minister said,
and of course, at the point at which we exit the European Union, we will need to know what our new relationship with the European Union is.
but of what we now know the Leave campaign said at the time they told us to leave. They should vote down her deal. They should vote down no deal, which would be a calamity for the British people and the British economy. And then they should vote for an extension, but the extension should be for a purpose. The purpose should be to decide what our future relationship with Europe is if we do Brexit. And I believe if members of Parliament are faced with that choice, forced to make the decision we were told we would make before we leave, they'll reject the painful Brexit, which is getting out of the European single market and customs union. They'll reject the pointless Brexit, which is staying in them but becoming a rule taker. And it's at that point that they will see the only sensible thing is, in the light of all we now know, to go back to the people and ask them to take the final decision. So next week's a big moment. Every member of Parliament right now is a leader of our country. They should think long and hard and deep about this, and then do what they genuinely believe is right for Britain